So welcome everybody to the security stack of Web3, or how not to get yourself wrecked panel. We have a full house of the best of security specialists here from Israel, and really excited about this session. I'll start with a couple of numbers that about 2022. That was kind of a bad year from a security standpoint. According to the latest analysis from Chainalysis, in 2022, $3.8 billion were stolen from users, exchanges, protocols, etc. Maybe the good news are that in 2020, only $500 million were stolen, and then in 21, 3.3, I believe. So the progress is not exponential anymore, it's kind of linear, but still, like, I'm trying to keep it positive, but these are still bad news. So I will use my superpowers as a moderator to kick us off with a self intro. My name is Omer Greisman. I consider myself an OG because these are the initials of my name, but also I'm into Bitcoin all the way back from 2011. I was really excited about this concept of a decentralized consensus. Fast forward to 2 years ago, I was approached by Open Zeppelin that offered me to be the head of security services. As their biggest fan, I said, of course, like, I'm not worthy, so I'll take the job. Open Zeppelin is a security advisor, security auditor, and I guess for builders, we are most known for our contracts library that is used by more than 90% of the smart contracts deployed today over the Ethereum network. You probably heard yesterday that we also provide a contracts library for Cairo. For Starkware, this is kind of the first time that we have a non-solidity contracts library. So yeah, let's start with a quick round of intros. Just give us a little background about yourself, what your company do, and what gets you excited about crypto or blockchain. What got you into the space?
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Shahar Madar. I'm the head of security products at BuildingBlocks. At BuildingBlocks, I'm responsible for developing and implementing security products that protect our customers from losing funds to malicious actors, be it internal malicious employees or external attackers. And before joining BuildingBlocks, I was excited by technology and security as a young kid. Went to the university, studied math and computer science, joined ETHTLV, spent there around 8 years as a security researcher, and then establishing a security research group. Did a few more roles, and then decided to join BuildingBlocks. And I've always been excited about cryptography, technology, and security, so this is like the most exciting combination of all of them together. And BuildingBlocks, for those who don't know, we offer a secure, easy-to-use digital asset management platform, allowing you to focus on building your business and removing all the complexity from secure operations and key management, all of that annoying stuff.
Hi, I'm Oliver Hörr from Hertz Finance, and we built a decentralized bug bounty protocol. So basically, we were concerned that there's no infrastructure for DeFi in place for security, and we are more concerned with how the security market works in general, because the incentives are super complex and super messy. And the biggest problem that we saw is that it's very hard for a white attacker to like sell information on a vulnerability without getting screwed. And we thought that, yeah, Web3 is provides perfect tooling to solve that issue. And so, yeah, we started to build this infrastructure, and it's getting really mature now, so we are really happy. And we believe that we can, with that as well, maybe help auditors to provide better services and overall make it easier for projects to find the right tools to increase their smart contract security.
Yeah, the microphone is just for the recording. There's no PA.
I'm Hörr from BuildingBlocks. I've been 7 years Solidity and blockchain developer. Along the way, we learned a lot. Like I learned about like what's important, what less important during the development time. Why responding time is super crucial and super important. And in BuildingBlocks, we provide ongoing security tools, detection tools, and soon we'll provide as well prevention tools. We've been able to detect like attacks of hundreds of millions of dollars during the years, and this is what we are doing, like detect attacks and prevent them.
Hi, I'm Shira from Redefine. I feel like I can say OG too, a bit after Omer. So I got into Bitcoin late 2012, early 2013. That still counts. Bought Bitcoins for $200 each. Can I beat you there? Or okay. Got very, very excited about the ideology and the technology. I've been working for the Israeli government most of my career, doing different projects of intelligence and technology, cybersecurity, vulnerabilities, and other things. And my most recent position there, before founding Redefine, I founded the FinTech Labs for the innovation department in the technology, which means doing different projects of blockchain analytics for 3 years, tracking crypto, tracking terror funding on the blockchain, and exciting things like that. At Redefine, we focused on Web3 security, specifically DeFi cybersecurity, and we chose to take endpoint protection, so the user side, meaning either we work directly with the users, if they're a business, so hedge fund, family offices, small banks, giving them transparency and better understanding in terms of what they're signing. We have a product that is called the Firewall, which is really the first firewall in crypto between the wallet and the platform. And also working directly with wallet providers. The biggest one, the most important ones are already, we're having pilot with them to eventually get also to the user through the pilots, but also to retail customers who are not necessarily going to be spending time and don't have the budget or a CISO for security, but through the wallets going to get security nevertheless.
Hi, Tal Be'ery, co-founder and CTO for Zengo. And in Zengo, we are building the most secure wallet, whether it's securing the private key by leveraging multi-party computation technology, and also securing your Web3 transaction via application security and our own firewall. And I've been I think 20 years into cybersecurity. And what got me into Zengo and founding Zengo about 5 years ago was really the hardness of this problem, because we are securing cash money. There are no one to give you refunds. You cannot undo that. Everything is so final in seconds. And in this harsh environment where the user is only protected by the security of their private key, a very small piece of information that can easily be forgotten, stolen, or lost. In this environment, we have to protect the user. So this challenge really drove me into founding Zengo and trying to solve these problems.
Thank you. So I think between the six of us, we cover most of the layers of the security stack, and kind of all of you touched all of the challenges that we currently have. But it feels like still in 2023, security is one of the main blockers for mass adoption. So just to kick us off with a softball, Tal, how do you see like the main challenges today from a security standpoint of the space?
Okay, I will talk also only on from the point of view of an end users. There are also other problems that other people will cover, but I think there are two main problems today for a user. First, and as it always has been, the security of the private key. User don't get it. They don't know what are seed phrase, what they mean. They assume that they have I forgot my password functionality with the service, which is not the case with private key. They are torn in between the dilemma of like, I want to replicate this key as much as possible to avoid loss, but then each backup, each replica I made, it's another option, another attack vector for the attacker to take it. So they are torn between the dilemma and making wrong decisions about that. And this is the fundamental security problem of users that always has been. And in the last 2 years, to say, with Web3, there's also the problem of readability. Like, users are handed a buffer to sign. Allegedly, they have the power because they can decide whether to sign it or not. But if you don't know what you're signing on, do you really have the power? So it's really all about readability, and some of it can be solved with the simulation. Some of it, like offline signature, are really big problem. We'll just published an EIP trying to solve that. So these are, in my view, the two main problems of users today: private key security and readability of Web3 transactions.
So all the way to the other side of the room, Shahar, you have the different standpoint from the same concept of an MPC wallet, but from an enterprise point of view. How do you see the challenges from that side of the room?
Yeah, so yeah, it's like the complete opposite or complementary perspective, right? And when we look at it from the business perspective, so like how you establish an organization that needs also to handle private keys, obviously, and you're building a product that consumers are going to use. And then I think, you know, what's missing is actually sometimes just adoption of the security tools that are already available. Some of them are not accessible enough yet, but I think, unfortunately, many projects and many products only adopt the proper security mechanisms once they get hit, or once they get large enough, so they are really, really, really scared about getting hit, and they have like this huge target on their back, versus, you know, start early on, understand like this is going to be core part of my business. If I'm on chain, I have like 100% attack surface that anyone can go at. So yeah, I think like what's holding us back is mainly builders starting to handle and deal with security from like day one.
Okay. So again, almost the other side of the room from a conceptual standpoint. I'm kind of dropping now the softballs and starting to throw at you curveballs. So Oliver, you mentioned kind of the mission and kind of the mindset that Hats has. Just give us one quick story about one of those things that folks that went retrieving their bounty after a successful, they basically found a bug, and now they have some type of a challenge with retrieving the bounty. So, do you have like right off the bat spicy story about that?
Oh, yeah. So, what people reach out to us often is that they found a vulnerability. They reach out to the project. But the problem is that in terms for the team to evaluate if the vulnerability is actually legit, if the information the hacker has is valuable for them, the hacker has to open up all the information he has. And after that, the incentive for the team to pay out is non-existent anymore because they already have the information that they need, right, to fix the vulnerability. So what we hear very often is that either the team tries to lowball the vulnerability, says like, well, it's a low vulnerability, we're going to give you 2K, and he's like, listen guys, I just saved you like $500 million of your assets, right? So you're going to give me now 2K, or they just simply stop engaging at all. And another big problem that we recently saw, and I think it's maybe a bear market problem, is that a project that like claim on the website that they have a certain bug bounty, then maybe don't even have that money in the treasury anymore because a lot of stuff happened. I don't want to like pick out any specific project. We debate internally as well often, like, okay, should we now shame that project after someone reaches out to us? I think it's more something that the white hat hacker needs to decide if they want to shame the project. So I will not do that now. But yeah, if there's like a very big Telegram group from white hat hackers, and they complain almost every day about it. So it's a very common problem from what we observe.
Yeah, we discussed that a couple of days ago, and basically you guys mentioning that for protocols or auditors should have skin in the game, and that gives them the incentive kind of to basically pay the money when they ask to, right?
Yeah, so this is another thing where we see a huge problem that we see in the security industry is for projects, it's impossible to estimate if an auditor is good and if the audit report is good, because to verify that, they would need to audit themselves and not would be able to audit. So there's a lot of projects going to like the top names because they have a reputation, they have a track record, but obviously they're as well then charging a certain price, and for small projects that's often not affordable. And all these new auditors that are coming in, it's hard for them to get a shot without a track record. Okay. So what we think is that if the auditors have like part of their fee stored in an audit challenge or in a bug bounty for a certain period of time, they have skin in the game in the security of the projects they audit, so they can show, hey, we are confident in our work, and we guarantee that we're going to be engaged for like maybe 4 months after the audit. And so this gives the project then as well like more trust in the auditor. And this is what we call skin in the game auditing. Yeah, thanks.
Nice. Yeah, we definitely need that in Web3. Or over to you. Any thoughts about like the challenges now at 2023?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges that we see is that the fact that like the responding time, let's say that there is an attack that happened over your protocol. So in this case, you want to respond as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you want to respond even before something happens, let's say during the detection time. And even so, like if there is a transaction or several transactions that are trying to attack your protocol, and you want to be able to detect and also respond, like the responding time over here is crucial, because even if one transaction already attacked your protocol and there are several others on the way, you want to be able to stop all the others. So like even that, this is something really important. And let's say that something already happened, you want to be able to reinitiate the protocol also as fast as possible to minimize other risk and like lose users or like reputation and stuff like that.
Okay, so basically you're saying that incident response is still on I would say low maturity level in the space. Sure. So yeah, I think that we can touch on, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so incident response is something that like still pretty immature, and it's something that like we can see that during the last year, like there are a lot of other players in this area, and like one of the biggest challenges in this area, in this specific area, is to be able to detect with the lowest false positive, and to understand what's actually is a real attack and what's it's not. Like this is another vector, and you know, like you can think about that like today the standard is actually auditing, but like auditing is good for the pre-deployment time. Like the major part of the life cycle of the application is actually the time that the application is there, like in the post-deployment part. And over there, like you want to be able to have some kind of ongoing security, not only like someone that review your code and that's it. Like you want to be able to detect and to see if something actually happened, someone actually did something wrong over your protocol, and respond, of course, as fast as possible.
Okay, thanks. We'll touch on readiness when the, excuse my French, when the shit hits the fan, how to be ready for that point in time. But Shira, back to you. In a decentralized world, who do you see is responsible for security? Is that the protocol, the users, the community? What's your standpoint there?
I would say all of the above. So I think this is a shared responsibility. By the way, it's not very different from fiat in that sense, but there are some similarities and there are some things that are different. if you go to a traditional world where people get like a permit, right, to run a bank or something, then they get there's statutory responsibility, right? We're lacking this on DeFi, and so obviously right now there are no rules, no regulation. It doesn't mean each one needs to, only take care of themselves, but it kind of means we need to work together as a community. But even going forward, even when there are going to be rules and regulation and compliance, it is decentralized and it is permissionless, and we want to keep it this way. So everybody who wants to join in and build will be able to build, and this is a good thing. But as a result, it means a couple of things. First of all, if you're a builder, you definitely have a responsibility. And I think Shahar mentioned it earlier about the responsibility of the builders, right? So oftentimes people are excited about building a platform or building something in DeFi, but what they're not planning on is becoming a bank, right? Nobody wants to be a bank. But the truth is, in reality, is that you are building contracts that will be holding other people's money, and it's going to be your responsibility. So yeah, you need security. You need to call security teams. This is part of the very basic responsibility from day one for you to do. But it doesn't end there. As a user, for example, you can't say, I know the platform, I trust the platform, they're going to be responsible for it. This is irresponsible as well. First of all, we said it's permissionless, meaning everybody can build. That means malicious actors are going to build as well. And so you always have to be aware. And the minimum you have to do, first of all, is due diligence as a user. Who are you facing? Are you now communicating with someone who's legitimate or not? This is step one. But it's not enough, because even if you are working with a legitimate actor, that doesn't mean that this actor is not going to be under attack. So now you also need to do some risk assessment on your end, right? Get visibility, understand what you're doing, get clarity on is this a transaction I want to sign? Is it not a transaction I want to sign? And this is where the wallet providers enter, right? So I'm sure there is a contract with a lot of fine letters saying why the wallets are not responsible legally if they're, right? if they're handing their users a malicious transaction to sign, and I understand that. However, they are in a position where they can, in a better position, let's say from oftentimes, when they can give this clarity and they can give this assessment and supply it to their users. So that's why I'm thinking this is a shared responsibility. And by the way, this is not different from fiat, right? So if I have a laptop and I'm using it I'm only going to Amazon and to Google and to ChatGPT, right? They're all legitimate things and websites on the internet. Am I going to say, I don't need an antivirus because I know those websites, they're good? No, that doesn't work like that. Everybody understand that. And we should all understand the same thing in Web3. So be responsible. I'll say something in Hebrew. Chayalut prat. I don't know how you say it in English,
wow.
But it's part of it. Okay.
That's a flashback over there. But yeah, I'll pull on the. We're at Building Blocks, okay, and this is like majority of folks here are builders, and they all run fast, they build stuff, and they find themselves a mini or a real bank. So again, this is open for grabs. This concept of security mindset, security by design, embrace security from day one. Any thoughts, any quick tips of not leave security to, we'll get there, we'll think about security. Yeah. You start coding, security is a top priority.
Yeah, so I think like part of the things that we're seeing is, someone, an organization, a project, even sometimes the Firebox customer that uses us for like part of their operations, come later point in time where like they have high stakes in the game, and then they would ask like, okay, like what's now? Maybe like, is this the thing that we're doing? Is that a problem? And I think like the key point to be able to focus on security in the right amount early on is to ask yourself a few very basic questions that will lead you to it. So it's for example, one would be, you have team members, right? It could be like just yourself and your co-founder. It could be like the head of engineering. It could be like, I don't know, 100 people. Do you have a mapping of everyone who has access to do privilege operations, to access the private keys, to deploy a new smart contract? So do you have like that written down? And if so, do you have a system in place to enforce those permissions? And then if one of them get hacked or goes wrong, so they have protection against that. And I think that once you start asking those questions yourself and as a team, you'll figure out, right? You'll find out what the right tools for you are, because there are many. Okay, obviously I'm biased, and I think like we can offer a lot of that. But you know, I think like once you get covered the first two, then you should sit down and hopefully with your tech lead or something like that, and say, hey guys, have we tried to think about how we can hack ourselves? Like, I know the system. Like, you're building the system, you know the system the best. Okay, what are the opportunities out there? Like, how could someone defraud the system, abuse the system, defraud users, attack you, steal a private key? Like, what are the weak points? And then you can start securing them, and you can start using the right tools for that.
Sounds good. Basically, be your own red team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can do that, like, I mean, with 2 people. I mean, you don't have like CISO and like 1,000 people.
So I want to add to what Shahar just said. And as security people, we tend to see like in every system, like think about it only from the security perspective. But if you're starting a project, usually security is just one property of your project, and you want to focus on building. So if you're a 2-person team, then you know you're busy building, and you have maybe 5% of your CPU to dedicate to security, and that's okay, because otherwise you won't ever get out of your garage. You cannot think about solving everything right starting off the bat. You have to leave something for the future. I think it's important to recognize like that you're not blocking yourself, that if you get very, very big, then you will be able to switch, let's say, to Fireblock solution. But it's not a good, like, I wouldn't recommend starting with that, putting all of your precious VC money into security. And the hard thing and the important thing is, it's not related, by the way, to crypto. It's related to every startup. It's to recognize when you have grown up, you move to the next phase, like you start securing, let's say, TVL of 100K, and now you have few millions or even a billion, and you have to scale up your security. This is the important part, just to, to step on dead companies' dead bodies. So, like there was a very like Celsius that was a victim in the Badger DAO hack, and even operationally, if you're investing your customers' money, using your CFO goes manually and working with the hardware wallet and MetaMask and manually doing that, you have to understand you're doing something wrong operationally and also security-wise. So this is a very important question you need to ask yourself as you grow up. Like, does my security scale? When do I need to scale up my security?
Yeah, so I think operational security is important. But I have to as well say it's, in my opinion, not the biggest issue we face right now, because I mean there are solutions like your Fireblocks, or you can have like a good enough secured multi-sig with hardware wallets and so on. But I think the bigger problem is that for a new DeFi builder especially, it's very hard to build secure applications, and it's super important to do the right, super expensive to do the right steps to secure. So let's say you launch a new trading protocol, and you need to be fast because there's someone else launching as well. The user does not really reward you for being secure. Yeah, like they will go with the one with the highest incentives and which is faster. So that's already like really bad for you, because if you want to do the right thing, you're already punished. And then maybe you don't have that much funding. And you think, okay, until I'm mature, I want to maybe launch like 4 different versions. Each time I have to plan for like 100 to 150K for audits because I want to get more than one. So yeah, it's like super, super hard for builders to be secure right now, and they're not rewarded at all for that. So I think what we have to do is we have to make these security services more accessible. maybe by like standardizing some parts, but I mean we all want to build novel stuff, so we don't want to just like fork the same stuff over again. And but then again, I think we need to find a way where I can get audited or I can get like penetration tested without breaking the bank completely. And we need to educate the user that they say like, okay, I want to go to the platform that is more secure. We see a little bit maturing here in the mindset as well in the builders. People understand that, okay, I get hacked once and my whole business model is dead. Yeah, I can like, maybe I can use my whole treasury to reimburse users, but yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah, I agree exactly with what you said, and I want to add something. I think the way to solve this, because it is a big problem, is going to be through market education and visibility. So once the user understands the meaning of security, and once protocols will start showing their security, like wearing it like a badge of honor, I was audited, I've done this, I have tools from this and this company, this is going to be really helpful, because yes, users want everything fast, but no user wants to lose their money, right? And I think this is just a matter of understanding. And in the past couple of years, so much money has been stolen that I feel like this understanding is slowly getting there. And by the way, honestly, in the future, I think there's going to be compliance here and regulation. So you can say, right, you cannot regulate necessarily a decentralized platform, right? You can't. There's no way to do compliance here. But what if you say, if there's going to be a regulation, for example, on American funds who are using pension funds to put on DeFi, and you cannot put your DeFi as an investor in a platform that has not been audited, for example. This can be regulated because the pension funds are regulated or the hedge funds are regulated. And so this way, through the back door, we will have regulation that had to do with security. And I think this is actually a good thing. I'm not a big fan of regulation in general, and I don't want necessarily regulation to kill the space for sure. But I think a lot is missing here for the space to mature and to grow and to scale. So I think this is something that we should all aim for and we should all encourage. And that's it.
Yeah. And in addition to what Shira said, I think that standardization in this area of security terms, something highly important, as Shahar mentioned as well, like for key management, or Tal mentioned for using a secure wallet, and also like for monitoring and auditing, like on top of everything, like if it's bug bounty for auditors, like for protocols that doesn't have the ability to pay for an audit, or like even to monitor the smart contract after the time that like they already deployed, and like be able to prevent attacks. I think that one day we will see over there some kind of standardization in terms of security and like what protocol need to apply beside of having only an audit.
Okay, sounds good. Again, I abuse my powers as a moderator. I have to chime in here. And 2 tips for, might be obvious, but for builders, please don't reinvent the wheel. Just use as much as you can open source, battle tested pieces of code, and just make sure that when you use that and modify that, you do that like in a safe way. And just test. All of us developers are lazy and don't write tests. For any line of code, you need at least 3 times the tests. Okay. So that's like, we see that, by the way, in audits all the time. Sometimes instead of doing finding security vulnerabilities, we just find bugs. So don't use your audit as a glorified QA. Just like write test as much as you can for every line of code that you write. I would like to touch on we have, again, from different sides of decentralization and centralization. And like, in order to, I will argue that in order to create robust processes around security, you need to compromise decentralization. It's painful to say that, but again, open for grabs. Who wants to respond to that accusation?
I'll be fast because I can be quick.
Okay.
Obviously, I wouldn't like anything that undermines decentralization. It undermines the whole concept of what we're doing here. And honestly, to get away from this problem, we chose the user side. You can never undermine decentralization when you protect users, because whatever you help the users to do or advise them to do is always still decentralized, right? Because each and every one make their own decision how to go about it. This is a big question for the people who are building tools for platforms. And I absolutely think that it's a great question. I think it has, we need to pay a lot of attention here. I remember specifically the Binance Chain bridge that after the attack, they just kind of pressed a button, or at least they said, we called 9 validators and we froze the bridge, whatever. It was ridiculous, right? It was kind of like, is it all a scam, like the whole thing? So I think we should be super careful about it. And I know there are ways to build decentralized tools. It's a longer way. This is not what Redefine focuses on, but those who do, please don't build tools that undermine decentralization.
Just a quick one. I have to bite on that one because you're saying, okay, so we keep things decentralized by putting some of the responsibility of security on the user. You sure?
It's not some of the responsibility. That doesn't take away from the responsibility of the
Okay.
platform. What it means that when Redefine builds a tool and hands it over to users or to wallet providers,
Okay.
it cannot undermine decentralization, right? So for example, if a bridge is now under attack and we're watching, we're monitoring, and we understand that there's an attack on the way. Because we identify a certain pattern, a certain behavior that we've seen in the past, and we know this behavior usually will end badly, right? We can tell our customers, cross back, sell your token, whatever. It depends on the bridge. By the way, speaking about standardization, before expecting standardization from the security, let's have some standardization from the, from the protocols, right? From the builders. It's gonna help have standardization in security. But whatever we do, whatever the customer decides to do, that never undermines decentralization. Decentralization is in the hand of the platform. That's what I meant, just to make sure.
Sounds good. To be a bit contrarian, I think that decentralization is a tool. It's not a goal on itself. So exactly to Shira, the example I said, Binance was able to stop the bridge, calling 9 whatever. But in the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, are these users better off that the bridge was stopped eventually than having all of their money stolen? So I think we have to be pragmatic about that. Decentralization is a great tool. We have to build security if we can in decentralized way, as decentralized as possible. There are great projects, for example, Forta, that are using doing security in decentralized way that could have been done in a centralized way, but they choose the harder path. And they have other challenges to get it adopted, etc. And in the meantime, users are getting hacked. So I would say we have to be pragmatic about security. If you can do it in decentralized way, let's do it. If it decentralized way takes too much time, we also have to have midterm solution and have some sort of centralization in order to protect our users.
So, we received lots of hand waving from the back. So we have to wrap up.
But I got a response because I think we are like the decentralization maximalists here in this panel.
Okay, go for it.
So, I don't completely agree. And I see this from security experts a lot, just put in a central kill switch, it's going to be great. You're going to get hacked. You turn off the protocol. But, why are you building something decentral then from, from the beginning? Yeah, what's the point? So, I agree. Yeah, like building something decentral, more secure, it's incredibly hard, but I think we have to do it. And the end goal should be that there can be a project that is launched by Anons, but you can still trust it, right? But you don't want to have an Anon have a kill switch, right? You don't know in which country he lives or if he wants to just rack pull you. So I think it's making it harder for us, but it's still possible, and we have to fight this challenge in the end. And I guess, especially since you can have everything open in the smart contracts, you have as well new tools to make sure. I mean, I cannot audit Facebook or whatever, right? So I think we have to just do that journey.
Awesome. We just reached the fun part, but we got to wrap up. A quick tip And because we are really missing and in real need for security experts, mostly here in Israel, because we have so many Web2 security experts. Do you have like one quick tip for folks, for builders, folks coming from Web2, how to become a security expert in Web3?
So question. Okay, yeah. So how to become a security expert. So I would say like there are several ways. Like it's mostly about like the experience, I would say. But like you should read a lot of smart content and be able to actually to do the same attacks, like to simulate the same attacks as many times as possible and understand each attack, and like to be able to understand like the way that a crypto attacker thinks, because the way that a crypto attacker thinks, blockchain attacker thinks, is something completely different from a Web2 attacker. Like it's not the same way, it's not the same incentives, and it's something about like experience, about the amount of protocol that you actually try to check. You can go over, like there are a lot of let's say leaderboards that you can actually check out. For example, Rect. You can go over the attacks over there. You can learn them, and like to become an expert, or like let's say at least to be aware of the known attacks, you have to go over at least the top 20, top 30 attacks, and then to understand the vector, the different type of possible attacks, and like how to defend them, at least the known ones. Later on, you can also protect against the unknowns, the unknown unknowns, and like be able to do that as well. Yes.
To add on Or's view, so like the famous joke, the taxi driver that was asked, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? So practice, practice, practice. So really leverage if you want to get into this field, really leverage the fact that the blockchain is your SIM, like unlike Web2 where you only, I don't know, man the end and incident response get to see the real attack. In the blockchain, everything is public. You can go, you can replay it. The attack surface is also there. So you have all the tools. Most of them are free, open source. You have no excuses. Just practice, practice, and you'll get there.
So, I think the fun part and the core part of being a security person is you have to understand technology better than anyone else. Okay, that's like the fundamental in my perspective. And so I would say, go back, study everything, study attacks, study like the top 20, 50 attacks, but don't trust the write-ups. There's a lot of data out there. And my personal experience, like every time I go and like go hands-on, look at the code the attacker deployed, look at the transaction myself and not read that blog or Twitter thread, I discover new things. And I think it applies in Web 2, it applies in Web 3, it will apply in Web 5. Okay, it's like do that and you're golden.
Yeah, this is gold. Keep it hands-on. Don't keep it theoretical. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. That was a great panel. If anybody has any questions, we're open. Feel free to ask any question about security and other stuff. And I think that we can say shamelessly that all of us are recruiting security specialists, developers, etc. So yeah, again, we are here. Thank you.